Hi, hello, I'm Sam Harris and I read, review and discuss fantasy and science fiction books. And today we're here to talk about November. So it is November, it's now December 2024. We've had 11 months of this lovely year. And despite some fairly troubling geopolitical news in November, it's a pretty good reading month for me. So, what I'm going to talk to you guys about today is the books that I have read this month, which one was my favourite. I'm then going to talk to you guys about the videos that I've made this month and which one was the most successful. And then we're going to talk a little bit at the end about Book of the Year content, about reading plans going forward. So I do have a few plans for December and for the next big series that I'm going to be tackling. And then I think that's everything that we need to run through. So let's have a quick look at my read list. So the first book that I finished in November was technically a book that I was reading last month, which was the What If Wanda Maximoff and Peter Parker Were Siblings book. Really loved that one, but I talked about it in last month's wrap up because I finished it on literally the 1st of November. And then I went straight into Fury of the Gods. This is by John Gwynne. This is the third book in the Bloodsworn saga. I have already talked about this a few times, so in weekly wrap-ups and in the actual review. I've also chatted to quite a few friends who've read this one because, new release. So because it was a new release, tons of people reading it at the same time. So I was able to talk to people like Philip Chase and Mare from Lady Mare Reads, and we all discussed privately, not on YouTube, and we all discussed privately our thoughts and feelings on it. Everyone that I know came out with the weakest opinion. I thought the book was the weakest. And I think Philip actually said, he had similar thoughts to me, but liked the book more overall. My big issue with the book was that I felt that there was so much action, and we were getting so much action that was almost like back to back to back action chapters, that a lot of the character moments didn't resonate as strongly. And I felt like we also lost some characters who didn't get big character moments that I really loved, and I was kind of hoping to see more from them. Like characters like Lif, for example. Lif, pretty big part of the first two books, actually fairly missing from this book. He was in a lot of scenes, but I only really remember a couple of scenes where he had dialogue, let alone that he was, an active participant. And also his pivotal close bracket of his story happens from another person's point of view, which I understand but didn't like. So I ended up rating Fury of the Gods 3 stars. I think I initially gave it a 4-star and then thought more about it and ended up changing the rating to a 3-star. So it's one of those books where I think that many people will be like, wow, 5-star book, best book I've read. But for me, there was just something about it that I felt like it really needed a bit more character, a bit more calm. And one of the big pivotal events was kind of a bit of a wet fart, a non-starter. So a good book, absolutely. And I think, as I say, for many people, this will be their book of the year. But for me, it was a little disappointing. Winter's Heart wasn't next. I read next. And in fact, before Fury of the Gods, I read Elantris. We've really messed the ordering up this time. But Elantris, loved it. Absolutely loved it. I rated Elantris on Goodreads. I'm looking at my Goodreads now. I rated it 4 stars, but I'm genuinely trying to remember why it wasn't a 5-star. I genuinely don't know. I loved that book. really could see why it was the thing that got Brandon Sanderson published for the first time. It's quite unique. It doesn't feel like the kind of story that you see in other fantasy books. It has some really interesting uses of magic. The kind of like affliction that's like affecting all the Elantrians, really smart. Yeah, loads of really good stuff in Elantris. Love the characters, love the world. I felt like the world had tons and tons of possibilities and directions, and there was so many more stories, it felt like, in that world ready to be written. And obviously Sanderson is going back to and is writing Elantris 2 and 3. But I feel like, for me, I would much rather have seen sequels to Elantris than to Mistborn. Obviously, Mistborn is another unique and interesting concept. It's that heist movie in a fantasy world where, Elantris is almost a political thriller in a fantasy world, and both I've had a lot more time for than actually some of Sanderson's more commercially well-liked, more successful, but more traditional fantasy stories. I think Elantris, being much more of a political thriller and actually having something to say about society and about people's relationships with each other and relationships with money and authority. Really interesting book. And like I said, it really feels like Sanderson has something to say in this book, whereas a lot of the morals of like, or morals, but a lot of the like themes and ideas for later books are things like slavery is bad and like, yeah, we get it, Brandon. I really rated Elantris, and I wouldn't go as far as to say currently that Elantris is my favourite Sanderson book, but it feels almost like the most ambitious from a themes and ideas point of view. Obviously, the Stormlight Archive books are very ambitious, but they're more ambitious in like defying that books need an editor. Vicious. So I read Vicious this month. This is the first book in a duology by V.E. Schwab. It is a superhero fantasy, although it's kind of sci-fi, really. It feels more sci-fi to me than fantasy. This is basically two villains who are kind of on both ends of the villain spectrum. So you have someone who is, I would say, psychotic and obsessed and delusional, and then you have somebody who is a very damaged individual who doesn't really care who he has to hurt to achieve his goals, and his goals are hurting people. But I would say that, you know, there is obviously one character you're meant to root for out of the two. Yeah, really enjoyed this book. This one I gave a 4-star, and honestly, I think that the big complaint that I had for this one was that I didn't feel like that 5-star feeling, but I did love it, and I have already started the sequel. So I started the sequel on Sunday, so technically December. So I started the sequel on Sunday, so that'll be in the December wrap-up. But I put it down to read something from Brandon Sanderson. You might be able to guess what it is. Yeah, this is a great book, and people should read it. We're flying through these books. Flying. Next up, I read Winter's Heart. Review is already on the channel. Reviews on the channel for all of these books, by the way. So if you want to see full, more in-depth reviews, this one will also be getting a spoiler discussion with my friend Matt from Bask in the Story. He has been unwell, so he's not finished the book yet. But when he's finished, we'll be getting together to do our standard spoiler discussion as we have done. This particular book I had a great time with. The pacing was not as good as some of the previous Wheel of Time books because it felt like the characters were in like chunks where you got loads of chapters by one character, and then loads of chapters by another, rather than kind of weaving us through the stories as Jordan has done previously. However, the ending of this book was fantastic. I really loved everything about the like farmadding stuff. I really liked what Matt was up to in this book. I want to see more from Elaine. This book, she felt a little out of character to me, because Elaine is one of my favourite characters. She's not my favourite character. I think she's my favourite female character. And I've got a lot of time for her. And I think that the way that she's pulled between the things that she loves, she loves creating and working on the ter'angreal, and she loves Rand, and she loves her kingdom, and she can't really fully commit to any of them because of the others that are pulling her in all these directions. I find that really interesting, and I find her a fascinating character because of it. But I don't feel like much of that complexity was shown here. There's only a couple of moments where that kind of differing pull from different areas was really on show. Aside from that, I ended up rating this one a 5-star. Was that because the ending was incredible and that was when I decided to do the rating? Possibly. May end up going down to a 4-star when I get later on in the series and I kind of revisit the ratings and rankings in my brain. But for now, I think this might be my favourite of the slog books, which are like 7, 8 and 9. Yeah, might be my favourite of those. Looking forward to getting to the next book, which people say is the worst one. And to see if I like it more, because I've been very contrarian to the classic Wheel of Time opinion sphere. So let's talk a little bit about future reading plans. So in Thingamajig December, I will obviously be reading Wind and Truth. I have some time off from work and I have already started it because I've started it with the preview chapters. I'm on chapter 11 and I think 33 have been released. And obviously there's some interludes as well. When I finished, I don't know how much the preview chapters cover, but I know I've heard around a third of the book, which is probably like the first 2 parts. And I think Andre and I were thinking about coming together to discuss the book in 5 parts, to discuss it by part. But this book, the structure is a little different. So in the previous Stormlight Archive books, everything has been like part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. They've all been 5 parts. But this one seems to be structured differently. So maybe Andre and I will go in like thirds or quarters, or maybe we'll just go like, right, we're discussing up to this point now, and then, whatever. And I want to post those on a weekly basis. So while I will have finished the book, we'll be posting those weekly. Hopefully that makes sense. Next, after Wind and Truth, I would like to probably go back to Vengeful, the sequel to Vicious. And then I'm not sure what else I have on the docket for December. I don't know if there's anything that I specifically need to read, or like I had on my to-do list. There's lots of really fun stuff coming up that I want to read. I think next year I'm going to end up reading... I want to read Memory, Sorrow and Thorn. I want to read First Law. I'd like to finish some stuff off. So I would like to read the second 2 Powder Mage books. And when Matt and I have finished Wheel of Time, we haven't officially committed to this. I haven't nailed him down to say we're definitely doing this right. But I think we're committing, or I'm going to commit. Hopefully Matt will join in, but I'm going to commit to reading Malazan next year. So that will start when we finish Wheel of Time. We have, I want to say 4 books left. So we got 10, 11, 12, 13. 11, 12, 13 is Sanderson. 14. We have 5 books left, 1 prequel novella, I'm going to probably read Crossroads of Twilight and New Spring in the same month. I don't know whether we'll discuss them both together, but I'm probably going to read them together. But yeah, Crossroads of Twilight I'll be reading next month. I'll be reading that, well, not next month, this month. So yeah, Sanderson, Jordan, V. Schwab, and I'd like to read something else that's got a bit more of a different flavour, maybe one of the Vandermeer books, or Wool by Hugh Howey that I've been putting off for ages, that's never come into me at the right time. So yeah, lots to think about. And yeah, we'll be reading those next month, hopefully. It is December, so obviously family stuff, lots of time will be taken up by family stuff. But on the flip side, I will also have loads of time off because it's Christmas. And I've booked off 2 and a bit weeks between Christmas and New Year. Also, what else am I going to be doing? Oh, I'm going to be reading some more Wandering In. I'm going to be hopefully reading the Clown chapters. And then what else? Let's talk videos. So, in the last month, my most popular video is, let's look. Should I have looked this up beforehand? Probably. I think my most popular video is going to be one of the Wandering In videos was actually, my video on Absolute Batman, Superman and Wonder Woman was very popular. If you don't like comics, I'd still check that out. I think it's a really fun video to watch, and maybe it will inspire you to read a comic. I do want to do a new comic recommendations video. That might be this year, might be next year. Other videos that you guys can expect coming out this year is going to be 2025 thoughts and plans in terms of what books I want to read, 2025 new releases, goals for 2025. There will be Book of the Year content. I think I'm going to do my new releases 2025 video tomorrow. So hopefully that will be on the channel by tomorrow evening. I'm working all day and all evening tomorrow, but I will try and pre-record it tonight. And then, yeah, Wandering In on Thursday as per usual this week. The Wandering In read along is going to be ending soon when I get to a certain position in the book, but my plan is to not replace it with anything. So the videos will be going down to 4 a week. I don't think that probably matters to most people because most people were not watching those Wandering In videos. Mostly that was Wandering In fans watching those, and they weren't watching the other videos. So the two audiences were very separate, and I think that it's time to try and bring more of those people together. So to do Wandering In videos as regular reviews on Mondays. I want to have another video towards the end of December that's going to be talking about how the structure of the channel is going to change. I'm still playing around with it, I'll be honest with you guys. But one thing I would like to ask, and I'll probably put a poll up on this at some point, is the quantity of videos that I put out important to you? Is that one of the reasons why you subscribe? Because I know that I have YouTubers that I follow that I like because they put out a lot of videos, but there are also YouTubers that I don't even think about between video uploads. So please do let me know in the comments whether you are excited because my channel posts every day, or whether you are one of the people who's like, actually, whatevs, like, post when you have something to say. I think that's going to end up being the plan for next year anyway, to make this a little bit more sustainable, because my job is about to get much harder. So I might have to skip the lunchtime filming sessions to just work through lunches for a little while, because my team has lost 2 people this year to redundancy, and now a 3rd person has left. So they've just left, and we are replacing them. But it's sad to have lost so many people that I really enjoyed working with. So yeah, that sucks. And what also sucks is probably having to cover my opposite number, probably having to cover their work until March, maybe longer if they have a long notice period. So yeah, difficult times in the Harrison household, but mostly work related. It'll just mean that my time is less flexible. I need to be more organised. But yeah, I've been thinking about stripping the channel right back to doing Monday reviews, Friday weekly updates, and then the Tuesday through Wednesday videos that I currently make will just go up when I have something to say. So like if I've got a list I want to share, if I've got a why you should read, all this sort of stuff, all of those videos will just be when I have something that I want to do, rather than trying to come up with ideas after ideas after ideas after ideas to fill those 3 videos a week, which is what I currently do. So yeah, I think that ending the Wandering Inn read along, or at least the weekly chapters, has been the real impetus for that. And hopefully, let me know, guys, let me know like what your favourite kind of videos are, and I will start to plan next year soonish, hopefully before work starts being mental. I think that's everything. November was a really good month for reading. The weakest book I read in November was Fury of the Gods, and that was still almost a 4-star read. Yeah, I had some just genuinely great times with books, and I'm now reading Wind and Truth. In an ideal world, you will see a review for Wind and Truth on Monday, next Monday, because I'm hoping to, pardon me, I'm hoping to finish the book Sunday, Monday, even though it's incredibly long, so I could not do that, to be fair, but I have arranged to have a lot more free time, so we'll see. Anyway, if you've liked this video, please give it a like. If you would like to talk to me, tell me what you're reading, tell me what you're enjoying, tell me what your favourite book of November was, anything you're looking forward to for next year, please let me know. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, join the community, join the team. Let's make this the best BookTube channel community in the world. Thanks so much for watching, and I will speak to you tomorrow.